Welcome to the Dr. Ed Show. I'm Dr. Edmund Sulkowski, and we have a wonderful show for you. I'm really excited to have my cousin, James Sulkowski. Jim, welcome.
Hey, thank you.
We're going to have a fun show today. We're going to be talking about art. And, art is always in the eye of the beholder, I think. I think that's a true statement. But art conveys a lot. It conveys emotion, it conveys feelings, it's a perspective, and I think it's something creative. And we're going to tell you how Jim started and maybe how you can start as well to become an artist. Even if you're not even selling your paintings, you're just doing it for your own benefit. So Jim, you and your brother Joe, identical twins, and I'm young, a bit younger. I always remember you with a pencil or a brush in your hand.
Right.
So how did that all come about?
Well, I was about 5 years old. My parents decided, because my brother and I were so shy, one way to help bring us out was to give us art materials, have us draw. And I've been drawing ever since. And then later, my dad painted. He wanted to be a sculptor, but he also painted, and I got my first lessons from him when I was 10.
Well, I will tell you, your dad was, as a dentist, was a sculptor every day at his practice.
Yes.
So I had somebody ask me if I've ever sculpted, and I said I do it every day.
That's right.
But are you born with that talent, Jim?
Well, my parents told me I was, so I believed them,
Well, some people can't draw a stick figure.
Right.
But other people sit down and duplicate something they visually see.
Right. I think there are various degrees of talent, and then there's the gifted, That's true with everything, I think. It's like even the piano. People can take piano lessons and they can learn to play it, but can they play it like Rubinstein,
Yeah, can
you can play the tune.
Convey a feeling into the music.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
and I think that's true with everything. You're exactly right.
Yeah, sure.
You can be mechanical about anything, but it's whether you have the feeling that placed into it.
Right.
And I've even noticed, because I paint a little bit, and maybe if we have enough time, we'll show a couple of my things that you critique for me.
Oh, sure.
But if it's a subject that I like, the end result becomes better.
Right. Yeah, because you can get that emotion in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I look at something, I don't care when I was a kid building model cars or drawing or whatever it was, I always pictured the finished product before I ever started. Is that something you do as well?
Yeah, definitely. I see any of these paintings, I see them finished before
you start.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing that I never completed was a project that I never saw finished.
That's interesting. I believe that would be true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even like when I play the piano a little bit, I hear the tune. If I don't, then it doesn't come out right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to start to draw or paint, what's the first thing they should do?
Well, they've got to learn. Well, see, I studied classical principles of painting and drawing.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that first. You studied in New York.
Yeah.
Under
Frank Mason,
who was a well-known.
Right. Well-known classical artist.
And you also studied in Europe.
Well, kind of independent study there, but I studied in Philadelphia at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Art, and Carnegie Mellon, of all places, which I shouldn't say anything negative, I guess, but it wasn't the best place to learn anything about art.
About art, yeah.
So
good school, though.
Good school otherwise.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember you actually going to anatomy classes.
Yes.
Because you do a lot of portrait paintings, and
Yeah,
you're
and
studying
figure.
the skeletal, what's all underneath what we see.
Right, because the basic study of the artist, especially when I was studying, was the figure. And so we studied anatomy, artistic anatomy, and drew the figure as much as the portrait. That was the basis of art. Actually for centuries,
So you have to know what's underneath in order to actually
Right,
produce something on the surface.
right. That's true even painting a tree like this, you know. You have to know the anatomy and build on it.
So during your career, you've done wall murals, you've done work for Saudi Arabia, you've had your paintings in the White House,
Yes,
Nemacolin, Woodlands,
yes,
all over the world.
right.
And you have a number of major collectors. I'm one of those collectors. I think I have 17 of Jim's originals
Yeah,
all over my house, and I tell people I did them, but
yeah,
but you started in little old Cannonsburg,
yeah,
and through study, through promotion, you're known worldwide.
yeah. It started in New York after finally getting there and studying, then doing a major commission for the Saudi Arabian royal family. Then things started to take off. You know, it was like hitting a home run to
Yeah.
do 2 murals for their museum in Jeddah. So,
And you and Joe worked on that together.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember that.
yeah.
Yeah. What people don't know is you're an author. You've written books. Tell us about the books that you've written.
Well, I've written about 5 books. Most of them have to do with how you paint and draw, and one is a biography type, with maybe an autobiography with my paintings and my philosophy. But they're available. You know, I have them available on my website.
And what is your website? Let's put that out
Okay,
there now.
it's www.jamessulkowskiart.com.
All right.
Yeah.
You also are an instructor, so you give lessons on how to paint.
Right, I did national workshops for over 30 years, traveled all over the country doing that. And then I taught in my studio, like a small group. I'm just teaching private lessons now, one-on-one, you know. So I have a handful of students that like to come and improve their skills.
And you actually have a studio in Houston.
Right.
And you have a lot of your artwork in there. It's absolutely amazing. And I'll pop in every once in a while and just see some of these big murals you're making or the sculpting you're doing.
Yeah.
And they're completely different processes.
Right, right.
But before you sculpt, do you always paint what you're going to sculpt?
I do drawings first. Yeah, do charcoal drawings, work out the composition, you know, and the design, and then get into the clay. And then and then they're cast in bronze at a foundry in Ohio.
It's an amazing process. It's
Oh, yeah, it is.
A bunch of series of steps.
Yeah, the last bronze I did, I worked on it for 2 years, and finally delivered it only earlier this year.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was probably about this long.
Yeah, there's 2 rams.
Yeah, amazing. It was
Yeah.
realistic, actually.
But you know, when I draw or paint or sculpt something, I have to know everything about it. So I studied the anatomy of the sheep, because it's a bighorn sheep, and you know, studied got photos, and even on YouTube can watch these sheep butting heads. So I tried to get the feeling of them doing that and get that into the sculpture. So actually, modern technology can help the artists today in certain ways.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise I'm a throwback to
The old.
making paint and oil and varnish.
And that's something you do. You make your own pigments, your own paints.
Yes,
See, when I paint, I just go buy what's off the shelf.
but you can buy first grade paint now.
Yeah, but and I see the difference. I think when I started to paint again, I asked you about it, and the pigments and the high grade is dense,
Yes,
even hard to squirt out of the tube.
right.
Where the cheaper paints, you just tap and it
Yeah, it's mostly oil.
Mostly oil comes out. Yeah.
And hardly any pigment.
Yeah, it's amazing as you start to progress in that the differences, even in brushes.
Right.
But there's a difference in the appearance of the paint that you mix and say the
yeah, because it's all color, all pigment.
Yeah.
The tube paints have aluminum stearate, which is an extender. You know, not all of them. Some companies actually make hand ground paints that are really terrific. So and you know what? When I get a new student, even somebody who never painted, I tell them get the best, because you'll just be frustrated if you get a student grade yellow and you put it on that canvas. Not yellow, there's no vitality to it. So if you get the better quality, you'll enjoy painting more.
I learned it early. The best tools, the best instruments produce the best work.
That's right.
Yeah.
The best result.
And I think that holds true for just about everything.
Yeah.
So
it's like cooking.
Yeah, exactly. You're using junk products to eat. You're gonna the taste isn't there.
Right.
You know, the texture isn't there.
Yes.
And painting is really what, light and dark and texture and so forth. So so it's
all about the light.
All about the light.
You got to get the light in the painting. So can I tell you about this?
Yeah, let's talk about this one.
Okay. See, I was walking my dogs one morning in the park, Cannonsburg Park, and there's a misty morning, and so I loved it. So I went back to my studio that morning. I did a small painting from memory of that scene, and then I did this larger painting from that. So I wanted to create the depth, but see, it's about the light. It's always about the light.
So in this painting, where's the light coming from, Jim?
It's coming right through here, see?
So this is the focus of the light.
Right.
And then you have some light up over here.
Yeah, so we have to show the source, always show the source, and then where it's going. And see, I pull you into the middle of the painting. If you look at all the great landscape painters in history, they always pull you into the painting. They never put it up here, because you want to go into the scene, you know. And see how the color is influenced by the violet in the mist. It's totally violet as it goes back, but the foreground's very rich in color.
So you see this, but you're drawn back here.
Exactly, to the light.
And then you have a little bit of light breaking through on the dark side of the painting.
Yeah, it just gives a more a feeling of depth, you know.
I see that you cast some light over here, though.
No, you know what? That's not light. That's shadow.
This is shadow?
That's all shadow. Because, you know, one thing I talk about, I think I've talked to you about, is the palette. Like when you play your piano, you're sitting in the middle where this middle C is. You're not down there and you're not sitting up there. Well, in the palette, we're looking at the middle. And so, you know, if you understand the palette, from the middle value on down, you're in shadow. So this is a lighter shadow.
Okay.
And from here on down, I'm in shadow. And then above that, I'm painting light. That's a thing that's not taught anymore. No, people don't know how to the value of the palette. They just put colors out and start painting.
So explain that layout of the color of the palette.
Well, in the top of the palette, you have your lighter colors.
Which are?
Yellows, orange, yellow ochre, you know. And then the middle, well, actually ochre's in the middle between light and dark. You have the light, and then you have the dark notes, and then you have the middle. And the key is the middle. You have to know where the middle is, and then you can paint anything like that girl's face there. The darkest light is the middle of the palette. See, and then it goes from the middle on up, and she's in light. Below the middle, she's in shadow or halftones. So that's just so important.
Portraits are, I think, one of the most difficult things to paint.
They are.
And I think the eyes are probably the most difficult part of the face. Is that true?
You know what? The eyes are the mirror of the soul, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because frankly, if you mess up a likeness, if you get somebody's eyes right, it'll still look like them, pretty much. It's in the eyes or the mouth. She had expressive eyes, and frankly, her mouth too.
So you have some light here.
Yes.
And going right up there.
Yeah, it actually starts at the top of her head, because her head is like an egg shape.
So she sat for this portrait?
Yep.
And there's a big difference of having a live model sitting than painting from a photograph.
Yeah, that's true. You can get the feeling of their personality.
And that's in effect really what you're painting is the personality, what's your interpretation of it.
You're right. You're exactly right, because you're interpreting even the person sitting there, not copying her. Mm-hmm. She's inspiring the painting. Just like this scene, the light inspired that.
So you were walking at Kensburg Park. You put this into memory. You didn't take a photograph of it. Do you ever do that?
No, I don't like to do that.
No.
And I like to get the feeling of the scene.
So you came home, you did a smaller paintings, and then you just expanded this with a bigger one.
Yeah, then I could got into more detail. Yeah. You want me to show you a couple other small ones? Do we have time for that?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. See, I paint everything on location, so where would I hold this?
You can hold it right to camera 2 over here.
Okay. This is Lake Chautauqua, New York, and that's another misty morning.
Yeah.
I took a group up there to paint once. So I do these small paintings for the impression, get the impression. And I think, frankly, that's where Impressionism came from. You know, when those fellas went out and painted just what they imagined, or what was in front of them. They let nature inspire them. This is in Maine. Went out on the early morning, just capture the scene. And frankly, if I like it, then I'll do a big one from that.
So you did a lot of work in Maine.
Yeah,
Vermont.
In Vermont, yeah. And the reason, especially for Vermont, is the big mountains, you can see the distance. You can actually see it, the atmosphere. And that's why it's beautiful. This is Hickory, PA. Just went out there and knocked out a little painting of that.
And so I can see you have the light right there.
Yeah.
And back here.
Right. It's an echo in the distance.
Yeah.
But see, it's always the light. Always capture the light. Well, I'll just show you this one more. These are little 8x10s, and they're only a couple of hours. They're about 2 hours on location because the light changes, and really you have to focus on one idea and stay with it while the sun is moving in and out. And you do this enough times, you get the feel for it, because initially it can be overwhelming, when you're out in nature.
And that light does change, especially like here. It can be bright sky and then it's gray all of a sudden. And,
right.
And I've not done anything on location.
We're going to get you out.
We're going to get me on location. But you really have to stay focused while you're painting in that time span, huh?
Oh yeah, and you know what? Everything you know is going to go on the canvas, and you might be done half an hour. Everything you know might be it. That might be it. But then the next time, you paint more, then you're getting more information on that canvas. Maybe you'll be there an hour, then 2 hours, up to 3 hours. It's just you paint what you know. When that's it, you start another one, start a whole nother painting.
So when you go there, do you have a special easel that you take with you?
Yeah, special easel, paint box.
It's a mobile unit that basically that you're going to set up.
Yep.
Do your work.
You can carry it 2 hands, set up, and get to work.
Yeah.
And you know what? Early is good. Early morning and late afternoon are the 2 best times. And then, or sunset, sunrise and sunset. Those are the best times you like to do sunsets.
Yeah, I like the
And
sunset.
so that's one of the most effective times of day to paint.
In particular, I like the Arizona sunsets.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's because.
Yeah, you've done some good ones of Arizona.
But so that's really an event to go out there and do all
Oh
of that.
yeah, it really is. Yeah, it's a discipline too. You got to make yourself get out there, get up. Because I painted a lot of sunrises, just set up before the sun comes up.
And these little techniques you talk about, making it hazy or whatever, that's a special technique to be able to accomplish that.
Yeah, you have to observe, observe nature.
So what are some good subjects when you go out into nature to paint?
Just about, you could go anywhere. You could go to a lake, go into a park. I've gone to Ligonier to paint the mountains up there. We have beautiful country here. I had a fellow come up here from Hilton Head once because he got tired of the marshes, so it's boring to paint that all the time. So he loved coming here to Western Pennsylvania. I took him out to paint in Scenery Hill.
That's beautiful, yeah.
And
well, even Cannonsburg Lake.
yeah, I painted a lot there. And so anywhere you go, you can almost step outside the door.
So you once told me you paint what you know, not what you see. Explain that to me.
Well, you paint what you know, you paint what you see, and then you see what you know.
Okay, now I'm confused.
Well, we paint what we know. We know we have to paint the light, the light coming in. We know that. We know this tree might be a elongated egg shape. We've got to break it down into shapes. We know this is a cylinder here. And then we paint what we see, and we see how that sun is burning through the mist. So you're painting what you see, and then you put it all together and you see what you know.
And then you end up end result.
Yes.
So I remember going up, watching you and Joe paint, and asking you a million questions, and I'm sure you were like upset with me, get this little kid out of here. But I observed you guys painting.
Yeah.
And then I would say that I kind of watched a little bit of Bob Ross.
Yeah.
But it really is a technique that you learn.
Yes.
And you have a certain style that you develop that's unique to you.
Exactly. I've had people say, well, I got to work on my style. Well, you're born with that. Nobody can take that away from you.
So there was a time when you and Joe could do a painting together, and you couldn't tell where one started and the other one left off.
Right.
Do you think that's still the case, being that you guys haven't worked together for years?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, sure. We think alike.
Yeah.
We never even had to talk to each other.
Yeah, I remember that.
Maybe it's telepathy.
Yeah. So that's kind of that intuitive.
Yeah. Right.
All right, so let's talk about this. I want to start painting, and you give private lessons, and I think probably the best thing to do for someone is just to do something and just start it and then fine tune it.
Yeah.
All right, with lessons.
Right.
And I think you got to enjoy what you do, even if your intent is
absolutely.
not to sell it, just for your own
yeah.
self gratification.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Too much pressure if you want to say, I'm going to sell it.
Yeah. So you sit there, and how do you start? I mean, what do you have to buy? What do you have to put together as a package, and how much did you invest?
Oh, you know what? That's a good question, because I have a materials list. It's on my website. There's a whole list of colors that are important to start the palette, to lay out a palette. And then you have to have a certain number of brushes. You don't have to have a huge number. Then you have to have your painting medium, of course the palette, and the palette knife. But there are actually kits that Hobby Lobby sells can get somebody started with. They'll have a string of paints just to get into it. Otherwise, if you're buying everything separately, you could be into $100 to $200 very easily and very quickly. But once you have it, you have it. That's the thing. It's an investment, and if you're serious about it, go for the investment.
So start off small.
Yeah.
And there are grades of all of this stuff. Grades of brushes, grades of paints, grades of canvas.
Exactly.
Now I know you buy the top grain linen and you treat it and you stretch it and you do all that on your own.
Right.
You know, I probably, first of all, wouldn't want to do that or have the time to do it.
Oh, right.
So I just go buy, but I try to buy the top grade canvas because
it's available.
There's a difference between the texture, the final product on a cheap canvas than there is on a
exactly
fine canvas. So, but you want to start off and see if it's something that you enjoy.
Yeah, to get small canvas panels, 9 by 12, you know, nothing bigger than 12 by 16, and see if you like it. But I like people to learn the basics first.
Yeah.
You know.
And for years, you did a TV show. Let's talk painting.
Yeah, let's paint.
Yeah.
It's called Let's Paint.
Let's Paint. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yep.
And you did it in the studio here in Peters Township. And
yeah.
Are those still archived? Do you know?
You know what? Some of them they're online.
So people can actually watch, because you did instruction on those shows, as I recall.
I took one subject for each show. You know.
And painted through it.
One is like how to paint a tree, you know.
Yeah.
And just can do that in one show.
It's amazing. Well, Jim, we're at our break here. When we come back, we're going to dive a little deeper in this. We'll be back on the Dr. Ed Show with artist James Sulkowski. I'm Dr. Edmund Sulkowski, and welcome to the Dr. Ed Show. We're here with my cousin, artist James Sulkowski. You know, he's an artist, he's an author, he's an educator, he's a personality. I mean, Jim's been doing this his whole life, and he's really a master at art and produce paintings that are absolutely lifelike and incredible. It's amazing. Every time I see one, I get a big smile on my face. I want to remind everybody of my radio show, the Dr. Ed Show, on AM 1250 The Answer, live every Saturday morning here in Pittsburgh. But they're all archived on Rumble, iTunes, Spotify. They're out there, and you can actually go to rumble.com or one of the other forums and Google Dr. Ed Show, and Jim was on my radio show and we were talking about art, and so that show will be on there. So I suggest you do that. It was a really good show. I got a lot of positive comments from my listeners of how they enjoyed Jim's talk about art. So Jim, I do a little bit of flower painting, and it's always trauma for me.
Yeah.
Flowers are very difficult to paint. Why is that?
Flowers are as hard as portraits, because you're trying to capture the delicacy of a flower petal and still get the essence of the flower. And you know, and you can see I'm using the brush stroke to define that flower, each one. See, not laboring over it at all. And
then you have color, but it's again light and dark.
Yeah, I build the light. You know, there are different ways to paint. One is dark to light, and one is to go right for the light and then build everything around the light. So, you know, I was saying it's all about the light. This whole bouquet I'm thinking of as a big shape. See, so this is when I say you paint what you know. I know this is a big egg shape, and this is the light on the egg right here. And so the lightest flower is in the lightest light.
So I see the light coming this direction. Am I right?
The light is coming from the left. See, it's like, think of a beam coming in and striking here, boom, like that.
All right.
And then this goes back. and see, there's a method to setting this composition up where I have, see the white is in the lightest light, go to the yellows, and then as I go around, I'm getting cooler. You know, the coolest flowers are going away. So it's like in a similar way like a landscape. You know, as you go away, you're getting cooler. Coming forward, getting richer and warmer.
So your eye is going to hit here first.
Right, right. So I'm having you look right in here.
So this is actual bouquet of flowers that you set up in your studio with this vase, and then you sit there and paint that.
Right. I said always paint from life.
So how do you set that so that you're getting the proper light?
I put it in a box. I put this whole thing in a big box so the light comes from one source and illuminates that, just like that. I control the light.
You control the light. So that box is like painted black or something like that. And then you have a lamp of natural light.
Natural light. I paint by natural light.
But you have a big studio with
big windows.
Big windows and so forth, yeah.
But you know what? If I didn't, I'd use a lamp. But and they have these bulbs that are like white light now.
Natural light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that can be used.
See, I'm painting in my basement, although it's a walkout basement, and it has French doors with a lot of light coming in, but I have a limited time, and it's usually, I'm painting at 5 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, so I don't have that natural light. And I think I've complained to you about, I use those lights, but they create shadows. And,
that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you talk about shapes. So what are those shapes that you have here? You have egg shape here.
Yeah, this is an obviously elongated egg shape. These are spherical. Roses turn in different ways, or a carnation, you know. Lilacs are an oval egg shape, you know. So looking for that all the time.
And this would be an oval?
Yeah, well, yeah, see, that's half of an egg there, you know, or part of a sphere. Break everything down, everything.
So it's like amazing the detail that you can see how this is carved into the base of that vase there, you know. It's just amazing. Even over here, in the cloth that you have over here, the lace.
Yeah.
So,
you know, I did this was a commission I did for some people. And it was their vase, their cup, their cloth. And so I built a painting for them. And it's a weird story, but the folks I did this for passed on, and their children want to sell it.
So this is for sale.
Not that I'm trying to sell anything, but it's weird. That's what happens.
Yeah.
But that was a commission. That's why this is a specific cloth, cup, and vase.
And I know I was in the studio one day, and you were doing a painting of somebody's home that they wanted a copy of their house.
Yeah. So I had to make it into a painting.
Yeah.
You know, if you do a building, it still has to look like a painting. Not, you know, you don't want to just see a picture. Structure. You know, place it in the landscape.
Yeah.
That's a challenge.
So most of this stuff is oval, egg shape.
Yeah, cubes.
Cylinders, cubes.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And so when you do something like this, you can get overwhelmed, but if you break it down in those little bits of pieces of that puzzle and you put the puzzle together, you get a, well, I wouldn't get a result like this, but but you did.
Yeah, well.
And even you as an expert that you are, you still do that.
Always, yeah. Can I tell you about my Patreon site where I teach all this? Okay, I have a Patreon site, www.patreon.com/Sulkowski Fine Art, and I have over 100 tutorials and videos on how to do that. And some of them you could paint along with. It's all information, you know. Portraits, still lifes, florals.
And so that's just a little membership that you pay, is that what it is?
You pay $10 a month. You can have access to all that.
So that's a good way to start.
Well, you know what? I used to sell videos of these things, and they were between $25 and $65 for each one. Now you can get over 100 for $10 a month.
Yeah.
That's the age we live in.
And you can do it at home and not
You
have
can
to
do it
go
at
anywhere.
home. Yeah.
So how do you choose the background?
Oh, good question. See, the background has to show depth. And in this case, I chose this golden ochre, yellow ochre, because of the violets. You know, they're complementary, which you've learned. You learned the complements, right? Like red and green, yellow and violet.
Yeah, there's actually a circle that where they oppose each other.
Yeah. But still, it's cool. See, backgrounds have to be cool and go back. And there's gray in that, so it sends it back. But backgrounds are important, you know. Some might be green, some might be blue-gray, you know, depends on the subject. So.
And so you don't generally pick up the same colors here in the background.
No,
you want
you
that
know what?
contrast.
That was a 1950s idea. Like, oh, I got red here, better put it there. Got yellow there, better put it over. No, that's forget that. You know, the commercial artist would do that.
What are the easiest flowers to paint if I want to start painting flowers?
That's another good one. Tulips.
Tulips.
They're egg shapes. You know, roses are the hardest.
Roses are terrible.
And peonies are always also hard.
Because they're fine
all the little
yeah.
petals. Because you have to get the essence of the peony. You can't paint all those petals, you know. The daisies are easy, you know. They're like a little wheel, you know. Carnations are harder. But the easiest probably would be tulips.
Tulips.
And I painted a lot of tulips. I like painting tulips.
So start simple.
Yes.
And build up.
Yep. In fact, I did a show here. I painted tulips. I got some really good fake tulips and brought them in here.
Which is a good way to do it, because these fake flowers
some
look
of them
real.
are pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you buy those, and you don't have to worry about them wilting.
You're right.
And you can keep playing with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or even, you know, a hydrangea. They actually make good fake hydrangeas. And that can be a difficult flower. It's a ball. We can see it's a ball, right? And then there are all the little petals that make up that ball. See, so that's how whatever your interpretation would be to get the feeling of that flower.
Yeah.
You know?
I will tell you, flowers are difficult. I've been doing a few of them, and sometimes I have to set them aside and not look at them for a while.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I have one that I have. I'll show it to you, but it's 3/4 finished, and I messed something up, and I just can't look at it right now.
That's good. Put it to the wall and then go back.
I got to go back to it at some point, figure out how I got to correct it.
Yeah.
But this to me is beautiful.
Thanks.
So explain to me what the difference is between a landscape, a portrait, a still life. These are all terms that we hear.
Yeah.
And what's contemporary art? Give us a breakdown of what that is.
All of these subjects are similar because they're nature, you know, portrait, you know, people, flowers, still life, you know, fruit. That's all painting nature, and that's what they have in common. But how are they similar? I guess they're similar, and they all break down into basic shapes. Even the head. You could break the whole head down. The eye is a sphere, you know. The nose, or rather the mouth is a cylinder. The chin is an egg. And
then faces, you have heart shape, you have oval shape, you have
right. Some are square.
You have square. Yeah, those are all face shapes.
Right, right. In fact, you could probably size somebody up first time you meet them. In fact, if you're walking down the street, somebody's like a block or two away, they're only this big. Their head is tiny, but you'll know who it is. And you know who it is because you recognize the shape of their head.
Right, recognize
and that's where it starts.
Yeah. So
But you said contemporary art.
Yeah, contemporary. What's contemporary art? What's abstract art? What are these different forms of art?
Yeah, see that doesn't inspire me at all.
Yeah, you don't do anything really abstract.
No, actually, these all start out as abstracts. They're abstract in color and in light and shade. You know, that every painting starts out that way, but it just doesn't inspire me or do anything for me to leave it like that. Just color for color's sake. You know, it's like Robert Henry would say, B flat for B flat's sake. You know, that's just not interesting. You know, so that's but contemporary. There's more contemporary even sculpture than anything, and maybe because people feel it's easy to do. This takes a lot of study. You know, it takes a lot of thought.
Yeah, see, that reminds me of the movie Beetlejuice, where she sculpted those things that were hideous, and that's my art, she says in the movie. But anyway, yeah. So tell us about this. I'm going to scoot out of the way here.
Yeah, and then we'll have to look at yours.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Well, see, this is a good example of basic shapes, because that's a still life. See, that bowl is part of a big egg. And this is a rose bud, so that's an egg. And then that bottle over there, that's a big cylinder and a skinny cylinder, you know.
And sort of an egg.
And an egg on top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you actually have eggs in here.
Yeah. But you know how you use color too tells a lot about your personality, you know.
So this is a different canvas than this one.
Yeah. Yeah, they're both primo canvases. I prepared that one. I might have purchased this one.
Because this one has more of an old world texture to it.
Yeah, it's a little bit rougher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why did you throw red down over here, Jim?
I thought it needed something dynamic there. Just kind of worked, you know, and helped make it pop. So
what makes you, how did you choose these subjects? We know that this was what somebody commissioned you for, but...
Yeah, this was around my studio stuff.
So you thought, I'll put this here, put this here.
Yeah, just wanted to create movement. See, even a still life isn't still. See the movement coming up from those stems, and then it wraps around the bowl and goes back up again that way. It's a big movement. So still life shouldn't be still, just like this. See, this is going like that.
Yeah.
See, big motion.
So you have this going here.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you actually, your eye goes up here.
Kind of anchors it.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's that's composition. And frankly, there are certain things can be taught about composition, but for the most part, you just have to do it and you work it out. But there are rules to it, but you know, you could even turn this into a triangle, go to the top of the bottle, straight down, come over here and go right back to the top of the bottle.
Yeah.
And that's a Renaissance composition.
And then a lot of it is how the viewer interprets it as well.
Oh yeah, that's the best thing, how the viewer gets something from it.
Yeah, and everybody can get something different out of the same painting.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you something. You know, when I say color, talk about color, there are some great colorists. You know, great Italian painters who were colorists, but then you have Andrew Wyatt. Everybody knows who Andrew Wyatt was, right? If you look at any of his art, what is it? Brown, dead, brown, dull.
He did
whether he does a head
yeah.
or a field, no leaves on the trees.
Yeah.
I mean, what was his personality like?
Yeah. But yet he became very popular.
Yeah, but you know, I look at art like, boy, he must have been a really severe, dull person when you look at that. Did you ever think of that?
Well, what you're doing is creating beauty here.
Yeah, truth and beauty, hopefully.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, I remember you did They were lilacs, and it was commissioned for somebody else, and they were at a party that I had, but I think were drinking too much and walked out and forgot it and never came back for it. So I ended up
Really?
buying it from you. Yeah, I'll tell you who that was. And I really wasn't into flowers, but they were so lifelike.
Yeah.
You know.
It's one of my favorite flowers to paint.
And then you did it like a different version of it, and I bought a print for Aunt Teeny because she loved that painting so much, and
oh, that's nice.
It's so lifelike. And I have a painting of yours where you did a water scene, and it looks like you're going to get wet. I mean,
yeah. Oh, that's good. That's a great review.
It literally looks like it. And
Thanks.
so I have, when I walk in my bedroom, I have a little hallway that I walk in, and it's first thing I see when I walk in all the time. And I will tell you this, Jim. Every time I walk in there, I look at that painting.
Oh, I'm glad.
You
Glad
know,
to hear it.
It's just amazing. So if you want to get down and dirty,
yeah,
here,
let's do this.
All right.
Here, put one up there.
Let's put this one up here.
Yeah. People will be impressed,
I don't know
Ed.
if you guys can see that. Let's see what. And you don't have to be gentle.
No, I think that's really good. See, terrific sky here, and then see, there's your light. That's your effect. See. Just put this in shadow. That's what I would suggest, and then you have it, and that's it.
And so bring a little more shadow here.
Right up through here. You know, you could take some ochre and umber. This is like a dirt road.
Right.
That's all you need there. This is all very painterly, very, very well done. That's a good one. That's all you need to do. See?
Okay.
No question where you're going to look.
And that's a nice thing about oils, because oils give you some playtime.
Right.
And you could always go over it later on.
Yeah, and you know what? Don't paint it opaquely, real thin.
Yeah.
Thin umber with ochre, and just glaze it. The glaze is a thin layer.
So,
right up to here.
Yeah.
Right up to there, and then you'll see a difference, and that'll finish that.
Yeah. See,
that's nothing much.
my little thing was I put an old hand water pump in there, and I thought that was so cool.
Oh yeah, that adds to the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my idea was to make it old worldly looking.
Yeah.
You know, like kind of.
Yeah, that's good. Let's see another.
Uh-oh. Okay. Well, actually,
Then you got to get the horse up here before we're done here.
well, let's do the horse now then.
Okay.
So here's the thing about the horse. I saw a print of this horse. It was black and white. And I'm thinking like
a photo print?
Yeah, it was a print in a store actually. Sometimes I'll go to some of these art stores and take a picture.
Yeah.
And it was kind of this painting, but it was just black and white. And I had to imagine what the horse looked like in color.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sometimes it's better to get a black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're just seeing the light and the form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is what I did.
I think so I've seen your other horses. You've done a whole lot better. It's good proportion here. Remember we talked about that a while ago. And you got that nice nostril in there. You know what I would do? I think there's only one thing I'd do. I'd like to pull his cheekbone out, put some light on that cheekbone.
So right up through here.
Yeah, you'll see that. You know, if you look at that reference again, you might see more light here.
Yeah, I have.
Because they got that big cheek.
I accidentally deleted the pictures, and I actually went back. In the middle of painting this, I deleted the picture and I couldn't get it back, and I went back to the store that had and it was gone. So
you know what? You could go online and just put images of horses.
Yeah.
I have books on horses that for me to look at.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that would be it.
So
you know?
What I liked about it is I got motion, I think.
Oh yeah, we got the wind in the hair.
So it kind of looks like
I like the blue behind it. It really makes the color pop. That's a pretty small thing to do too. So.
And I thought I got the muscles in the neck.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, these are hard to do.
Then you need to varnish it. You know,
yeah.
Put a retouch varnish.
Yeah. I haven't done that to any of the
Not,
ones I've done.
not final varnish until it's 6 months old.
Yeah, this is a couple months old.
But the ones you've done 6 months or more ago, put final Damar varnish on it.
See, I've done some paintings over the years, but I hadn't painted for 25 years, and I
You've
just
been getting into it.
started up again, and it becomes addictive.
Oh yeah.
You know.
And you know, you're talking once about how everything goes out of your head. You're focused on your painting.
Exactly. I don't think about a thing other than what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll like paint for 10 minutes and I'll have to go do something, and I come back and I'll paint for 15 minutes and go do something.
Right.
And in the time that I'm painting, I'm not thinking about any other thing than what I'm doing.
But this is like a form of meditation in a way, you know. You know, way back in the 70s when yoga was coming on strong, my teacher, somebody said to him, "You're going to get into yoga, Frank." He said, "I don't need to stand on my head when I'm painting." You know, that was his version. Not to insult yoga people, but this is the same thing. We're going into another, you know, another zone. We're in a zone when you paint.
Yeah, you absolutely are. It's absolutely incredible. So this happens to be my favorite, but of the ones that I've done.
That's Ohio Pow.
That's Ohio Pow.
Yeah, I painted that. I painted that exact spot. Well, I'll tell you a couple of things. If I could, I think you could send this back a little more. It's very vivid, so I'd make it go back a little more with some violet.
The green is vivid.
The green's like too vivid. You'd see that way up here. Okay. That comes forward.
All right.
So we've got to push it back. You have all these nice violets here, see? And there's got to be violet in the green. Controls the intensity of the color.
All right, so to correct that, I would just make a violet wash.
Yeah.
And just go over all of the green.
Real lightly go, just wash
over the whole green.
Yep. And
okay.
Send it back in an instant. And so I'm not sure where you want me to look here. You want me to look here? Probably. You don't want me to look over there, I don't think. You want to keep us here, you know, because you're painting up to white here, and you can't get lighter than white, and that's where your eye's going to go first. So I'd just knock that down, put a little blue, ultramarine blue and white, make a little scumble, wipe it off on the brush, and just go over that.
Over this?
Yeah, go over all that.
Okay.
Send it away.
All right.
Yep.
So, you know, all those years we'd go to Ohio Powell.
We walked along
We walked along all of that.
You ought to put a little person on there.
Yeah.
You know, why not?
I just wanted Ohio Powell.
And you see the water is greener up here, so that brings that forward.
All right, so we need to purple this.
Yes.
To send this back.
And then just send that back.
Send that back a little bit.
Yeah, and then your eye will stay here. Not so much. You've gotten a whole lot improved since I first saw what you were doing with the atmosphere.
Yeah.
That's good. That's the hardest thing to capture, is atmosphere.
Well, that's one of my favorite places.
Oh yeah, I painted a lot there. Love it.
We're gonna do another one here. So what's left? Oh, okay.
Oh, this is a bigger one. So tell me what this idea is here. Is this out west?
I don't know.
Oh,
made it up. Totally made it up.
Oh, really? Well, you've got mountains here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Western mountains.
Yeah.
Well, see that this is taking our attention away from here. See,
what is the clouds?
The white.
Okay.
Make them gray, blue-gray.
Okay.
And then you'll go back here. That's the main thing. See, then you'll have the focus.
So just on this side of...
Oh, no, here too. Just tone those down.
Okay.
And then you will look here. And then be careful that vivid green again. Just a little too vivid, too strong. So control it with mix gray or violet with that.
All right.
See, you know what? I know you got this. You probably wanted to do more here, but You could put violet in those windows. You know, violet,
To set
just
them
blue
back.
violet.
To set them
Yeah,
back.
just, you know, if you see photos of houses, the windows look black, and they're not black. So you put blue violet in there.
Okay.
Just a darker violet.
So I'm going to put a little violet over here too, gray and violet.
Yeah.
All right. Jim, we have a minute left of the show.
Oh, okay.
I'd like everybody to know how they get a hold of James Sulkowski.
Well, they can email me or call me.
All right.
Should I put my phone number out there?
Yeah, you can put your phone number.
Okay, it's 412-874-4435. And that's my direct number. If you're interested in private lessons or visiting my studio, give me a call or email.
Or if you want to pay
yeah, if you want to see my studio is also my gallery. And I have lots of paintings on display. Because I don't deal with any galleries. I'll be showing at Nemacolin Woodlands Resort in August and September in their gallery.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was there a couple months ago and they had somebody doing that there. It was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Thank
Jim,
you.
thanks for coming
Hey,
on.
thanks a
Appreciate
lot.
it.
Enjoyed it.
Remember, healthy pet is a happy pet. When you're healthy, you're happy as well. And also, you can hear my live radio show on AM 1250 every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. Appreciate it. God bless. We'll see you next time.